you, Larry. Good morning. Please rise for the singing of our song this month, which is The Sun That Shines, number 19 in your hymnal.
I'll be nice to you and play it for once.
Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood, New Jersey. My name is Anita Young, and I am the Sunday Associate this morning. As Unitarian Universalists, we agree to keep each other company, supporting one another on the journey of life. We ask questions about what our lives mean, and we try to become the very best version of ourselves we can. Each of us answers the big question in our own ways, and we are lucky and okay with that here. We don't force each other, but let each other think for ourselves. We do share a belief in love that can heal and transform, and a belief in our interconnection and interdependence. We also believe in the beauty of human diversity, and all of us are welcome here, no matter our age, our race, our gender, our sexual orientation, our economic status, theology, or education. If you want to know more about the congregation and who we are and what we do, please make sure that you sign the green sheet in the foyer in Anderson, or fill out the form that is being dropped in the chat room on Zoom. After the service, please join us for refreshments down the hall, and online when we will have our breakout rooms. Today's service is a celebration of the 60-year friendship of Ron Levy, USR Music's director, and Lanny Paykin, and one of Western civilization's oldest and most beloved musical instruments, the cello. Lanny Paykin maintains a diverse career in the New York City area, performing with many New York orchestras on Broadway and in recording studios and in solo and chamber music concerts. A graduate of the Juilliard School and Wesleyan University, Mr. Paykin plays with the American Composers Orchestra, Brooklyn Philharmonic, and the Westchester Philharmonic. He has performed with the New York Philharmonic and the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra, and the New York City Ballet and operas orchestras. In 2014, Mr. Paykin served as an acting assistant principal cello with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra in Australia. As we begin, please take a moment to silence your electronic devices so that we can truly be present to one another in our time together. We are so glad that you are here with us today. We will now have the lighting of the chalice. Please join in the words that will be on the screen for the lighting of the chalice. Take a deep breath and center yourself with the ringing tone of the singing bell, if I can do it. Nope.
We can read that first.
Okay. Go ahead. We light this chalice with the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action as we gather together in the circle. Now,
Like, do it near the mic.
yeah, by the mic.
And give it a real.
Try again.
Just wanted to let you know that in addition to being graced by Lanny's presence, we also have a number of his students from his private studio. So please welcome Bill. I'd like to thank the students of Lanny that are participating this morning for the gift of your music making. You know, in addition to being such a fine player, Lanny is kind of the keeper of the flame in terms of perpetuating the art of cello playing through teaching. And as I get older, it gets more and more poignant to me that some of the things that require many years of mastery and dedication are still with us. And I think it's such an important lesson, particularly for young people these days. Information can be extracted so quickly from the internet, and so much of what they are expected to do is quick, quick, quick. And not all the worthwhile things in life can be achieved quick, quick, quick. So cello, for me, is one of a very, it's like a beacon. It's a symbol of what can be accomplished with much dedication and over time. Lanny and I were having a discussion. Where did he go? He disappeared. Oh, there he is. Ah, okay. So I put in the blurb that we were friends for 60 years, which is more or less true. And we have been quite close, friendship-wise and musically over the years. He'll tell you a little bit about our common endeavors, which are myriad. But when I just did a studio recital of Lanny's, and it occurred to me as I knew that I was going to be doing this morning, that what a great thing to celebrate a lifelong friendship and something like cello playing. And it seemed so right. I wanted to share my pleasure and my warm feelings about it with you. And I hope that will be a takeaway from this morning. I'm not going to talk a whole lot today because other people are chomping at the bit and they're a little more of a novelty for you. But when I think, Lanny and I met actually because of friendship. My mom and dad were very friendly with a couple in Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey, and he was an amateur pianist, and he played with a gentleman who was also an amateur violinist, and they had a very talented son, Danny. And Danny was actually, he played better than I did at that age. And one of the reasons he played better was because he had a fantastic teacher who happened to be Lanny's father. And so, you know, when you know somebody for that long, you don't always remember exactly when you met, but it was probably at a musicale in Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey, with all of our parents in attendance. And I think actually Lanny and I did play something together, and I think it occurred to me what it was. I think it was one of the folk pieces of Schumann. Aha! Ring a bell? Yeah. And so Lanny and I played, and Danny Schrager played, and the rest is history. And that was indeed about nearly 60 years ago. So this is kind of a celebration of that. Also, Lanny is one of the most self-effacing musicians I have ever worked with. You heard how beautifully he plays, but it's he never, hardly ever uses a sentence with I in it. It's, you know, or me, you know, and it's just, he's such a great guy, you know. God, I feel like I'm doing your eulogy. But isn't it great to listen to it while you're alive? Anyway, I found this poem very brief about friendship And, you know, both of us are in a performance industry where, you know, success and glitzy behavior and whatnot is kind of honored. But this is something about being a little more quiet. This is called Success by Edgar A. Guest. I hold no dream of fortune vast, nor seek undying fame. I do not ask when life is past that many know my name. I may not own the skill to rise to glory's topmost height, nor win a place among the wise, but I can keep the right. And I can live my life on earth, contented to the end, if but a few shall know my worth and proudly call me friend. Okay, please rise as you're willing and able, and we will sing hymn number 327, which you will recognize instantly.
Good morning. Hello, I'm Liz Kempe. I'm usually downstairs. They don't let me up here too often. New member of the Board of Trustees. It's good, it's good to be with you. Thank you this morning. One of the promises we make to each other in our shared covenant at USR is to support this congregation with our presence, gifts, and service, and to care for each other and the long-term well-being of our community. Our caring team helps us to care for one another. We like to remind you that on Sundays, that team can be reached by calling the office and speaking to Anne. You can let her know if you want to share a celebration or if you have a need this congregation can help meet. The work of the caring team is vital, so please also let us know if you want to participate in that work. We care for the long-term well-being of our community by investing in the vision of justice and freedom that we share. We remember that it will take all our different talents, gifts, and support to make that vision a reality. A couple of announcements this morning about ways to get involved pursuing our mission. Each week on Wednesdays at 1 p.m., our lecture series and discussion occur on I might be missing something. Our lecture series and discussion occur on Thursdays at 11:15 a.m. Soul Hour meets. Yeah, what's Soul Hour? Thursday? Okay. So okay. Lecture series at Wednesdays 1 p.m. Soul Hour Thursday 11:15 a.m. This week there will be 2 book discussions. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. there'll be Mountains Beyond Mountains by Tracy Kidder. For details, contact Bob Jones. And Wednesday at 2:30, One Book USR will meet in the fellowship room to discuss The Plot by Jean Horowitz. We also uphold our covenant by our annual and weekly giving. Each month we exercise generosity by giving in different ways. This month's Share the Porch will benefit Citizens of Swimming. Shout out to Jan. Since the 1960s, the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood has supported children's programming in our neighboring town of Patterson. Citizens for Swimming, a program of Camp YDP in Patterson, provides children 9 days of water fun in Ridgewood's local pool. They need our help. Please drop off new swimsuits, towels, and water toys to the Reeb porch. We are currently most in need of swim trunks for boys. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you.
We'll see all these cellos, is it? There'll be a cello sale after the service.
The Cellist by Galway Kinnell. At intermission, I find her backstage, still practicing the piece coming up next. She calls it the solo in high dreary. Her bow niggles at the string like a hand stroking skin it never wanted to touch. Probably under her scorn, she is sick that she can't do better by it. As I am at the dreary in me, such as the disparity between all the tenderness I've received and the amount I've given, and the way I used to shrug off the imbalance simply as how things are, as if the male were constituted like those coffee makers that produce less black bitter than the quantity of sweet clear poured in, forgetting about how much I spilled through unsteady walking, and that lot I threw on the ground in suspicion, and for fear I wasn't worthy, and all I poured out for reasons I don't understand yet. Break a leg, somebody tells her. Back in my seat, I can see she is nervous when she comes out. Her hand shakes as she re-dog ears the top corners of the big pages that look about to flop over on their own. Now she raises the bow, its flat bundle of hair harvested from the rear ends of horses. Like a whetted scimitar, she is about to draw across a throat and attacks. In a back alley, a cat opens her pink-ceilinged mouth, gets netted in full yowl, clubbed, bagged, bicycled off, haggled open, gutted, the gut squeezed down to its highest pitch, washed, sliced into cello strings, which bring an ancient screaming into this duet of hair and gut. Now she is flying. Oh, tossing back the goblets of Son Amour, standing empty, half empty, or full on the tablecloth like sheet music. Her knees tighten and loosen round the big-hipped creature, wailing and groaning between them as if in elemental amplexus. At last she lifts off the bow and sits back. Oh, her face shines with the unself-consciousness of a cat screaming at night and the teary radiance of one who gives everything no matter what has been given.
Hi. So, my first question is, who is this guy? I don't know. I've never seen him before. Anyway, Ron asked me to talk about the cello, the history of the, oh, hi. The history of the cello. I don't think I could do that. It's a long story. I'll say that it was originally we had the plucked instruments like the lyre and the harp. You see in Greek vases, you see people standing there. That's how all these instruments, the violin family started, I believe. And then somebody invented a bow, the idea of using horsehair to pull the strings so that you could have a more sustained sound rather than just a quick plucking sound. And they developed in Italy two different instruments almost of the violin school. One was called viola da braccia, which means that braccia is a hand, and the other one was viola da gamba, which most people now know, have heard of. The violin da braccia I never heard of, but that's actually the parent of our modern violin instrument. The way it's made having to do with I don't have any with me, but the ribs are round, and on the viola da gamba, which is a totally separate instrument, which is used today a lot with the harpsichord, the ribs are more like a bass. If you could picture a string bass, they don't have such a rounded ribs, they're more flat coming off the sides. So they're two separate instruments, and the problem was that they were thin, very delicate, and as time went on, the composers wanted to have music that was more emotional and louder, basically, and those instruments couldn't take it, so they started working on ways to make the instruments louder, thickening the wood, having a bow that was, instead of the former bows used to be curved this way almost, then they began, now my bow is curved in, and it gives you more power. And then, of course, the major thing was the strings. They used to have gut strings, which are not very loud, and they broke all the time. And then somebody came up with the idea of winding the string with wire and steel or metal, maybe, I guess is more accurate. And the strings became stronger and louder, and that's what developed in about 16th century. That's when all this began. And then somebody came up with the brilliant idea of putting an end pin on the bottom rather than holding it with your knees. There's the gamba part. And so the end pin gave you much more stability, and you feel when you play, you don't feel you have to hold it with your feet to keep it from falling down. And so that's how the modern cello basically developed.
Do you have any favorite stories about any of the organizations you've worked with?
Well, okay, I do.
You've worked with some of the
I do. All right. My favorite story was I played for about a year with the New York Philharmonic about 20 years ago. And there were people in the orchestra then who were, of course, not there. Kurt Mazur was conducting, who is a wonderful musician and conductor, but not the warmest, friendliest guy in the world, if you've ever met him. But there was one cellist, and people in the orchestra didn't like him at all. That's putting it mildly. They basically hated him. And there was this one cellist who had a watch, with metal, rather than the band was not leather, but it was one of those little bit more old-fashioned watches. The metal, and then when he would vibrate it, most people, you take off your watch when you're playing, it's like, but he didn't, and he had this watch that clicked. So he would be going like this, and Mazur would, all the time that I was there, he'd be trying to figure out what that sound was, where was it coming, and he was here, the cellos were right next to him over there, but he couldn't really tell because the sound was, diffused with all the different instruments and things like that. So you could see him muttering and cursing and probably in German, I don't know, and this guy was, I don't know if I think he must have done it on purpose. I don't know. I didn't ask him because I don't know how you could not know you're making all that noise. But that's one of my better stories.
Musicians do have a
And I just want to say how proud I am of my students to take. Some of them have just started a few years ago. Some have played when they were younger and took it up again. But I know for a fact when I try to take on a new skill as an adult, it's very, very difficult. And I'm cavelling in the back there. I'm having a great time. So.
So I get to switch instruments a little bit. We're going back in time to the Brook. This is the earliest piece on the program. And I just want to remind you that I'm able to be authentic thanks to the generosity of the donors. And this lovely wedding replica was donated to us when the donors retired and left the area. And that was in 2018. So, all and delight if you're watching. Thanks again. Back to our service administrations. We have that straight back. The child.
Yeah. Okay, let's close our service with the extinguishing the flame. We extinguish the flame, but may the truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action burn bright in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you. Fluffy. hour is in over in fellowship. Go help yourself.